last woodwind, that's not made out of wood, is this. What is it? What is this called? Yeah, just yell it out. Yeah, everybody knows the saxophone. The saxophone is the most popular woodwind there is today. Almost everybody knows what this is. They might have some confusion between an oboe and a clarinet because they look the same, but once you pull out a saxophone, everybody knows what a saxophone is. And the reason is because the saxophone, through jazz and then most recently in popular music, anytime you see a group that's playing and they have a wind player, 99.9% of the time the wind player is a sax player. And that's because the saxophone is a very versatile instrument. You can play classical music on it. It was originally invented as a classical instrument in the 1840s by a man named Adolphe Sax, who was a Belgian instrument maker. And he wanted an instrument that was part woodwind and part brass. So in the orchestra you had brass instruments which were really loud and powerful, and then you had woodwind instruments that were kind of softer and more mellow. You wanted an instrument that could do both. And he invented the saxophone, which was made out of brass. It's always been made out of brass, with a woodwind mouthpiece to give it a little bit of darkness to it, so it wasn't as bright and strident as the brass instrument. Unfortunately, due to a lack of whatever, mostly not enough good players, and orchestras were pretty much set, nobody wanted to hire a sax player. So what happened was in New Orleans, where the precursor to jazz was ragtime, in Dixieland, everybody played clarinet. But as bands get a little louder, the clarinet players figured out, hey, this saxophone thing plays louder than a clarinet. We can compete. All of a sudden, saxophone became the predominant jazz instrument there is. It became so popular, and of course in rock and roll and stuff like that, it was a very flexible instrument. You could do a lot with it, and it became basically the most popular woodwind instrument there is. So, saxophone comes in different sizes. This is an alto. Any saxophone you start in band will be this one. There are larger ones, tenor, baritone. There's a small one called a soprano, which are, once you get a little, you should probably start on an alto. It's the best one to start on. But this is, saxophone can play loud and soft. Most sax players just play loud, but you can play soft. I mean, it can play soft, and most players choose not to play that soft. But you can play loud. I mean, it's a loud instrument. And with a certain type of mouthpiece, you can play even louder.
Which is why you can see they don't want 27 of them.
Yeah, they don't want 27 honking kids in the band.
You won't hear anything.
You won't hear anything, except saxophones, and there's nothing wrong with that if you're a sax player. But anyways, you can play, nice stuff. I'm not going to play that loud. Yeah. That's a piece by a supposed to be Brooke, who nobody knows today unless you play violin. But being a classical player myself and playing with the symphony theaters, that's the way I usually play. But sometimes when I've played with other people like Tony Bennett or Aretha Franklin, you play jazz or stuff like that. So jazz is what everybody knows. So you play something like this. No, not like that. It's more like this. Oh, we'll hire you. So you play something like that. And it's a little more upbeat, and that's what everybody knows about saxophone. So, any questions about this piece? No? No saxophone questions? All right, there'll be a test later. Study hard.